all.
I don't know why I'm here, I'm so damn tired.
Me too.
We're recording.
Well, I got Mike walked
The
out.
regular Borough Council meeting in the Borough of Pompton Lake.
Okay, here we go.
Mayor and Council Municipal Corporation in the County of Passaic meeting will begin at 7 p.m. on July 22nd, 2026. In the municipal building, 25 Lennox Avenue, Pompton Lake, consistent with the Open Public Meetings Act. The meeting will be open for public comments and shall be in accordance with the terms and conditions of the borough's municipal code and bylaws.
We stand for a flag salute.
Pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Please bless this mayor and council as to deliberate on the best of Pompton Lakes. In accordance with the New Jersey Open Public Meeting Act, adequate notice of this meeting has been provided. The time, date, location, purpose of this meeting and agenda was posted on the municipal building bulletin board, transmitted to individuals requesting notice, and published electronically on the official website of the Borough of Pompton Lakes. Roll call, please.
Mayor Sexton.
Here.
Council President Kent.
Here.
Councilman Bay.
Here.
Councilman Cruz is excused.
Oh, Yes.
Councilman Hidden.
Excused, yes.
Councilman Santers.
Scott?
Here.
Thank you.
Can you hear me?
Yep, we got you.
Here.
Councilman Bennett.
Here.
With us this evening is our Borough Attorney, Mark Semiraro, and our Borough Administrator, Michael Crowley, Police Chief Anthony Rodriguez.
Okay, thank you. Under presentations today, we're going to do a redevelopment design standard that we've been working on for numerous months, put together by our colliers, our borough planners. So just before we start, this group was made up of individuals of our council, our planning board, redevelopment board, and some other individuals from the town. So it wasn't just one group. We wanted input from every different direction. And I think Kristen did a good job in kind of answering everybody's concerns and questions. And we had numerous meetings with a lot of concerns and questions that were brought up and then addressed in the following plan. So with that, I'm going to ask Kristen, the planner, to come up and do her spiel.
Sure.
Good evening, everybody. I probably look familiar to you, but if not, I'm Kristen Russell with Colliers Engineering and Design. I am your borough planner, and the borough asked me to kind of facilitate a process where a design guide would be written for the borough, and that, as the mayor just explained, this was a group of many people from, Council President Kent was there, some planning board, redevelopment agency, municipal representatives, the CID. So we had direction from a lot of different angles and a lot of input. And so I'm just going to summarize for you this evening what is in this document and what the document, how it will be used and what the intent is. For those of you up front, the document looks kind of like this, so mine's black and white, yours will be in pretty colors. And what I present to you tonight will be a summary of what's in there. I am not going to go through every single regulation and recommendation. I'm happy to discuss anything in detail that you feel I don't cover thoroughly enough, but I just want to give you a sense of what is being covered. So to start things off, the purpose of this was that the borough expressed that the existing zoning standards and design standards within both your zoning code and some of the redevelopment plans did not bring enough specificity and nuance to the look and feel that was desired for downtown Pompton Lakes. This document will essentially fill that gap. It will help the borough, any developers, any property owners, anybody who is actively owning, using, building in downtown should refer to this guide to get an understanding of what the borough sees as the aesthetic of downtown Pompton Lakes. This is intended to work in partnership with the zoning code or the redevelopment plans. It does not conflict with them, it adds to them. Can you move to the next slide, please? The image shown on the screen includes several zoning districts: the downtown redevelopment areas, and the downtown business districts. Anything that's colored is where the design guides will apply. So this is not something that will apply to residential neighborhoods, for example. This is really for a downtown application.
And if I could just jump in, and I'm sure she'll probably cover this, but when we first put redevelopment together, rightly or wrongly, we gave the choice of in or out of the redevelopment zones to the businesses. So that's why you'll see on the maps that she presented, there's some businesses that are in the redevelopment zone and a business right next door that's not, because they got to choose if they were in or out.
Yeah, and that's kind of, that impacts where this would apply, but it is not being modified by this document. Okay, so this document starts off with 2 pages of definitions. I've just put some up here to give you a flavor of what's included, as well as the graphic that goes with it to help the non-architect understand what we're talking about. The definitions talk about everything from architectural features such as facade, display window, cornice, mentions signs, we define ground sign, projecting sign, and kind of concepts like building scale and streetscape, so that when we use these terms in the document, everyone's talking about the same thing. Again, none of these definitions conflict with the definitions in your zoning code. They either mirror them or they complement them. I also should mention that some of these concepts and regulations are also found in your SID, and we worked with them carefully to make sure that there was no conflict there as well, either in definition or in requirements, expectations. Next slide, please. So I'm going to now give you a sense of how things are being regulated. Again, this is not every word that is in the design guide, but I'm pulling out some highlights to help you understand. We talk about things like materials. And we say that all facades facing a public right-of-way, we say they need to be masonry or natural materials. This will include wood, fiber cement, brick, stucco, stone, metal, glass. What we're looking for is not vinyl siding, for example. We want a material that is going to reflect the historic era of the building, where appropriate, where we have old buildings, material that is going to stand up to the elements and to time, and it will age nicely, and just have a nice look, a downtown that doesn't look cheap, right? We also talk about the facades. We're looking for articulation, such as bay windows, balconies, and demarcations, accentuating individual storefronts. In the case of a long building, we want that to be broken up into vertical bays or elements, so that it doesn't look like one long building, but it still carries the look and massing of what would typically be smaller storefronts along a street. We also require a cornice along the street, a cornice at the top of the building, and midline cornices are encouraged. So midline cornice is what you would see above the ground floor, generally retail, to kind of break up the difference between the retail at the bottom of a building and often residential above it. In terms of colors, we're looking for muted hues on the main body of the building with some brighter accents. We had a lot of discussion in our group about what kind of colors we want to see in Pompton Lakes. I shouldn't say we, it's you, not me. And there's a really careful balancing act that needs to be taken between telling people what shade of a color they can use, but also directing them into what would be appropriate in a downtown like Pompton Lakes. So at the end of the guide, and there's a slide for this later, we actually provide some resources. And those resources are from major paint manufacturing companies that publish online or in paper information about the appropriateness of colors for the era in which a building or a downtown, was built. Without knowing what, one building in historic, in Pompton Lakes may have, significance from 1920 and another might be from 1940. And so there is a difference there as to what would be appropriate in that building. And we're going to direct the property owners or the developers. A new building would be a different story. There's not historic significance, but property owners to really consult with the borough, the CID, and these guides to help them understand what would be appropriate. Having said that, because the materials as encouraged or required by this guide are going to be natural materials like brick, stone, there shouldn't be a whole lot of opportunity for crazy colors that we're not expecting. But in the event that somebody wants to paint the brick, this guide would direct them as to what might be appropriate.
So this is an option, what she was just talking about, it's just to kind of steer the developers or people that are building when they come in, that we're not looking for a pink building in the middle of a historic downtown that we have.
That's
so
right.
We want to work with the colors that this group has come up with, and it's not, we're saying it has to be this color. There's shades, and like she said, there's many different shades within the colors that we think will look good downtown.
Yeah.
But we know like a bright pink or a bright orange probably would not look good downtown. So that's why the standard was put in place, so we can kind of steer people the right way that the group wanted it to go.
That's right. So next we talk about the architectural elements. One thing that I know has come up recently before the redevelopment agency, for example, is the treatment of corner buildings. And those should really be the most important, or the most eye-catching buildings in a downtown, where we have these intersections and corners, and they serve as anchor buildings. They typically had more ornate architecture. In some cases, they may have been taller. So we're looking for developers of new buildings to take that approach and give corner buildings a special treatment. Make sure that there's lots of windows so that there's interplay between what's going on in a store and what's going on in the sidewalk. That's shown to activate downtowns. And along the same lines, we have some guidelines for windows and entries, making sure that the windows are big, that the windows are not blocked with the storage of materials. We regulate the glazing that, at the ground level, it'd be 75% of the storefront, and above that, residential, more like 25%. And we ask that doorways be recessed. That is a traditional downtown style where you might have display windows right up against the sidewalk, but then an inset area where the door would be. It's not deep. It's like maybe 2 or 3 feet sometimes, sometimes more, but it really protects the sidewalk from the swing of the door, so people walking around aren't getting hit by the door, but it also really helps show off those windows as a real, eye-catching element in the downtown. Next slide, please. We put in regulations related to the signs, which mirror the regulations that already exist. To not reinvent any wheels here, but we included graphics and dimensional regulations for wall signs, projecting signs, window signs, and ground signs, all with this, I think, really nice imagery that helps people have a visual, they can visually see what kind of sign we're talking about, even if they don't know the terminology. Similarly, we've regulated awnings, how long they can be, how much lettering can be on them. Identification signs. This is actually a new one. An identification sign is basically a wall-mounted or freestanding sign that would be permitted to identify a building name including for multifamily residential uses. So if this is the Sarah building, let's say, first name that was sitting right in front of me, there could be a sign that says, like, this is the Sarah building established in 2026. But that sign is going to be it's going to be smaller. It's not an advertising sign the way that you would have a sign that says, like, Sarah's Pizza would be a bigger sign, right? This is, it's meant to give identity to buildings without serving as an advertisement, okay? There's also an allowance for second floor business signs, which can only be window signs. That's an already existing regulation. Flags with commercial advertising are prohibited, and no flagpoles in the sidewalks. We don't want to disrupt or interfere with passage along the right-of-way. And lighting, there's language that requires dark sky compliant lighting. Lights be pointed down. We don't want to have a lot of, it's called light trespass, when the lighting of one building is suddenly, you know, illuminating a much larger area than is necessary. And for signage, we have some pictures here of gooseneck lamps, which are, you know, a style that the group saw was favorable and thought was a nice way to illuminate the wall-mounted signs in the downtown.
I can just go, we have a building going up right now in the middle of downtown that does have flagpoles. And this is why we discussed this a little bit about what could be on those flagpoles. We don't want for lease flying in the wind, you know, there. So what we've decided is it can be a federal flag, a state flag, a town flag, the name of the building, and that's really all that can go on those flags.
Yeah, and actually what it says is, and please correct me if I did not understand the directive accurately, it can't be commercial advertising or business signage. So non-advertising would also include things like holiday flag would be okay. You know, if you're celebrating fill in the blank month of any, you know, cultural or social whatever, that could be there. It's just not an advertisement.
Not an advertising.
Yeah. Okay. Also, okay, balconies. So it was decided that the front of buildings facing the street could have Juliet balconies, which are limited to a 12-inch projection. So it's really not a like hang out on the balcony type of place, but it does allow those units to have French doors or whatever, and the look of a balcony, and enjoy the air that may come with it without the risk of having either an unsightly clutter along the street front or too much the potential for behavior that wasn't desired along the street front. Real balconies with depth, are permitted on the rears of buildings, or, you know, internal sides of buildings where there would be less of an impact to the public in terms of the visual of those balconies. Roof decks are permitted. We did require a setback from the roof edge for the same reasons that we've regulated the balconies, and we've limited that to 50% of a roof's usable area, which should, you know, provide the residents of a building with a decent amount of outdoor space on an otherwise, you know, downtown lots typically don't have a yard, so this should give them a nice amount of outdoor space without becoming problematic. Structured parking, the regulations here work to ensure that any structured parking does not look like obvious structured parking from the street. You're going to see a requirement for, well, first of all, the ground floor. The structured parking, you're obviously going to need an entry from the ground floor, but that should go deeper into the building, and then the rest, the street side portion of there needs to still be lined with a non-residential active use. And even on upper levels of that garage, there needs to be proportion, materials, and massing that is reflective of what residential or what a real use in that building would be. So you're not just going to see ramps from the street. You're going to see some sort of treatment that, yeah, you probably might know that it's a garage, but it's not going to be glaring and in your face. It's going to have quality treatment and proportions.
So my attorney just reminded me, I'm sure it's in our ordinances, but we would, of course, want no profanity on any of the flags or signage that was put up, if they're trying to make a statement.
Yeah.
So is that, I'm sure that's in our,
I am just about certain that that is in your code somewhere.
Yeah, it's got to be, but I don't know, just we got to make sure.
If we can check, yeah. Okay, so we've also have some sections in here about landscaping, buffers, and trees. I'll note that for the tree section, I did talk to your shade tree commission and your forester to get their input. I didn't want to contradict their expertise on the matters. So they gave me some good points of reference that I've incorporated into the document. Of course, in the downtown, there's not a whole lot of yard space, but we've included language that clearly states that all portions of the property not used for buildings, so on and so forth, should be landscaped with buffers around the perimeter. A street tree along the right-of-way every 30 feet, as is appropriate on a site-by-site basis. Plaza and courtyards, we certainly encourage. We understand that not every lot is going to be conducive to that. You need a really big project in order to make that happen. And just as on a related note, I made it clear to the group as we were talking a lot of this through, and I'll make it clear to the audience this evening, that if we have a very big project, a project that's so big that a courtyard is a viable concept, there will be a redevelopment plan written for that property, and we will get into the very nitty-gritty of it at that point, where we get into much more precise requirements than this guide even offers. This guide is meant to apply, as you saw at the map at the beginning, to many, many properties. And if we're at the point that a major project is coming in that needs its own special attention, this will be pulled into that plus more, because that's how redevelopment plan works. So things like plazas and courtyards within this guide are kind of high level detail. I'm reluctant to even say details. They're high level wish list items so that a property owner or developer can get a sense of what we want. And that will be fine-tuned, if and when the opportunity presents for such an improvement, okay?
And that being said, I would think that the redevelopment agency and planning board would always push if there was possibility to have courtyards.
Oh, for sure.
To ask for a courtyard.
But if you have like a 25 by 100 building, it's not going to happen. Same with streetscape and street furniture. We talk about materials and making sure there's sufficient space for pedestrians to get by and so on. This is really something that comes into play when you have a project that occupies a full block or the better part of a block. So we really touch on that here without going into the nitty-gritty. The next page. So this is the color resources that I mentioned earlier in my presentation. This is just a full page from the document at the end of the document where we refer people who may be looking to build something, to paint something, improve their building, to 3 resources that could steer them in the right direction. I should point out that if somebody is just going to paint their building, there's not a whole lot of arm twisting, regulation that we can impose upon them. The catch is that the CID has grant programs and so on and so forth that a lot of property owners would want to take advantage of. And so if they want to, get their bite at the apple of funding, then this is a way to twist the arms and say, we have this funding available, but we really need you to honor our wishes with the color of your buildings and things like that in order to enjoy that funding. So it's really the CID and the borough working together to encourage property owners to do this and give them incentives to do so.
And just for the public who's watching at home, I know that she's saying CID, the CID is our bid, it's the same.
Oh, I'm sorry.
Yeah,
Bid.
that's okay, but the
Bid.
public hears that as the bid, so.
Yep, the bid. And to that end, the final slide is the bid and the building department. If people have questions, if they have contacts, people at both of these, email addresses and phone numbers were part of this process, and hopefully into perpetuity, their predecessors will be as well, and will be able to help guide any property owners, business owners in the downtown. And of course, this document will be available, should you adopt this document, it would be made available online, and paper copies can be distributed to anybody who is in any of the applicable districts.
All right, so what I think I'm going to do, thank you for that presentation. It was quite condensed from the time and energy she put into
We
making
had
this.
many meetings.
So it was well done, condensed. Thank you for doing that.
Yes.
Before we ask any questions, I do have some people in the audience that might want to add to it, just because they're representatives. I have Abby Novak, who's our redevelopment chairperson, if you want to come up and say a couple words. And who was also part of the group that made these talks.
Thanks, Mike. I didn't prepare anything formally, but thank you, Kristen, for helping us put together a well-organized design standard. I hope that you will support our efforts here as a council. I've been on the redevelopment agency since conception, currently the chairperson of it, and I think it will help us immensely to be able to look at a project and have like some of the simple questions of aesthetics addressed right away. And when you get a large project like some of the ones that you see up in town now, it's an overwhelming process, and to have the design standards already communicated to the developer, it really takes it kind of sets the tone for what we're looking for, and we don't have to start from square one. We don't have to reinvent the wheel each time we have a developer come up. So it's something that I look forward to using in the future, and I think it will make a nice presentation when we see it start to really happen. We'll see concise, cohesive design shining through with the new development. And it will have a nice, I think, aesthetic Pompton like. So I hope you support it. Thank you.
Thank you. And I agree with what you're saying. We wanted, when we first started, we didn't look at the process as a whole. We looked at it as one individual building at a time. This gives us a future plan as we move forward to kind of guide our developers and how we like to see it. I also have Glenn Dominic here. He's our redevelopment our redevelopment director. You want everything you want to add to it?
No, I think the chairwoman summed it up well, man. It's about consistency and being able to, apply the state guidelines and think, this is long overdue. So I commend Kristen and everyone involved.
All right, so what I'm going to do is, first I'll explain to the council what we're going to do. This was just a presentation. If we're all in a straw poll kind of idea that we like this idea and we want to move forward, we'll have an official vote probably in August. Is that when we're going to? Okay.
Yeah, if I may add, Mayor. So as part of this process, our borough zoning map had to be rewritten, and we do have several zoning and other code amendments that Ms. Russell will address as part of the process.
All right, so I'm going to let the council ask any questions first. To you, stay there. Anybody have any concerns, questions they want to mention or talk about? No? No? Yeah, yes? No? Okay, now.
Yeah, I'll just touch on what Mr. Crowley just mentioned. Kind of as a second prong to this assignment was that as you may have heard come up periodically, your existing downtown redevelopment areas, as of now, are embedded in your zoning code. It's legal, it's fine, it's hard to use. There's a lot of cross-references, and most towns have their redevelopment plan as a standalone document, like, here's a packet, this is the redevelopment plan, and we hand it out to the redevelopers in town. And so what I've done is that I have extracted the downtown redevelopment area language from your zoning code, so it will be its own standalone document that is, I would argue, significantly more user-friendly. In so doing, I did not change any of the regulations in it. There's renumbering. There is the DRA 1 and 2 now. As of now, you have DRA 1, DRA 2, and then a whole bunch of other things that says, oh, except lot 1 is this, and oh, except lot 15 is that. What I've done is I renumbered it so that it's DRA, I think it goes up to 6 or 7 now. So it's just called the DRA zone, and then there's all these sub-districts, 1 through 6, and as other ones become, they will be numbered in the next consecutive order. I want to assure you that there has been no change to the standards, the use standards, the bulk standards, the requirements in any way, even though the document looks different. There have other sections of the zoning code may also make cross-reference to DRA 1 and 2. So I've gone in and I've found those locations and edited that out so it doesn't make it what I assume will be an outdated cross-reference. So there is a zoning code amendment, but it's really administrative. And the third part of that is we have updated your zoning map to take out the DRA 1 and 2 and just have a DRA. And then within the redevelopment document itself, you'll have a sub-district map that has all of these 1 through infinity sub-districts. I have not prepared a presentation on that because, honestly, it is no change to the content. It's a change to the format. Those, along with the design guide that I did present to you, should go through first and second reading as you always do, but there should also be, you should ask the planning board for comment.
We'll go back to the planning board, correct?
Yep. Go to planning board before you have second reading, and we can do them all at once, unless you have reason not to. It might be most efficient to do them all at once, but the design guide is not dependent on those other documents to move forward. Those other 3 documents are dependent on one another.
So I can tell you that when developers came, and one of the concerns they always had was we had overlays and everything in our other zones, and it was very hard to figure out.
Very hard.
They were reading an older overlay, and then we got the wrong information.
Yep.
So this is why it's all condensed into one now, where they can get the one piece of paper or whatever it is
Yeah.
and explain exactly what we have.
Yeah.
It was well overdue. We should have done this a while ago because it was very confusing to try to figure out. But I think the most important thing, and she mentioned it already, we are not changing any of our bulk standards in anything we do. So we didn't increase heights or setbacks or any of those things. None of those things changed. And if they need to change those things, they're going to go for a variance, and through the redevelopment and through planning board, ask for those things, right? So I just want to understand this is a conceptual plan for what we just talked about, but not setbacks and heights and widths and things like that.
Right.
Okay. Any questions on that? No. Okay. So Mike, just explain what we're going to do.
Right, so at the August council meeting, we'll have an introduction for the land use / zoning amendments that are required. There is also an ordinance on lighting that we will be presenting.
Okay.
That will move forward with it in accordance with the design standards. and we will have a resolution adopting the design standards document at the next meeting as well. So we'll work with the borough attorney on that and with Ms. Russell and move that forward.
Does anybody have any issues with anything that was said so far? No. Okay. I thank you guys for your time, for
Thank
coming
you.
down and helping us. Thanks for all the time you put in. You know, again, I just have to remind everybody, our planning board and our redevelopment agency, they spend a lot of time, a lot of energy. They are not paid positions. I know people think they are not. And they spend a lot of time in doing that. So I thank everybody on those boards. Thank you. Okay, let's move forward. Thanks, guys. Okay. Can I have a motion to open the meeting for public comments?
Motion.
Councilman Bennett?
Second.
Councilman Bay, all in favor?
Aye.
Against? Anyone from the public like to address? Please step up.
Good evening. Randy Pratt, 322 Wanacue Avenue. I own Randy's Homemade Ice Cream. Okay, what I've heard this evening sounds fantastic. And I hope it comes to fruition because I get a vision of Charleston, South Carolina or Savannah, Georgia kind of thing. So I really hope that this is not a false positive that I heard tonight. The main purpose of why I'm here tonight is what's happening in front of my ice cream shop on Wanacue Avenue. I'm noticing way too many incidents with cars speeding up and down Wanacue Avenue. That's the first thing. And I have senior citizens who come into my shop. I have families who come into my shop with small children. And I've seen too many near misses. Now, myself, when I go to my shop to drop off supplies that I need for the day or for the week, and I try to parallel park into a parking spot, people are right on my tail. And they give me and others zero room to parallel park. And then they get upset and they go flying. And I'm a good parallel parker. I'm going to admit that, okay?
Everybody
I
says
can do it on my first try, okay? So when you're trying to parallel park, they go across the double yellow line and go flying by you, okay? So that's been addressed in the past. My next point is this, parking. I used to live in Pompton Lakes in the 1980s, from 80 to 87, and parking has always been a concern. 2 years ago, I met with Michael over here because I had a problem with the parking meters in front and along Wanacue Avenue. I met with your new police chief back in late February, early March. I've written emails to him as well as CC'd Michael on that, in which I received a response back saying I need to speak with the BID. The BID has, and the Chamber of Commerce, has no control and has no authority to implement any kind of a fine for people who are not paying the parking meters. When I brought this up to the chief, he had indicated to me he did not know the ruling when it comes to handicap parking. Very quickly, I'll give you some statistics here, is that you have 15 parking spots in front of my shop, okay? And the parking meter zone would be 40502. That would be those from the bus stop down going towards Hamburg Turnpike. On the other side of the street, which would be along where the library is, that's zone 40503. There's only 11 spots. In front of my shop, in that first zone that I mentioned, there are literally 8 cars, 8, that take up 15 parking spots. That's customers that can be using it to come into my shop and make it easier for them and also safer for them if they had access to those spots that weren't taken up by cars that were there all day long. There are numerous cars with handicap tags on them. And I went through your zone, with your code book, and in your code book, it's Chapter 7, subsection 43. It mentions absolutely nothing about handicap parking not having to pay the meter. It mentions absolutely nothing about people overstaying 3 hours, which is your minimum, or your maximum amount of time on Wanacue Avenue. But yet there are people who feed that meter all day long. I'm now a business owner in Pompton Lakes. I love Pompton Lakes. If you listen to my phone message at the shop, I said, hey, beautiful Pompton Lakes. And I truly believe beautiful Pompton Lakes. And I hope this lady and what the council and everybody else is doing is going to make it even more beautiful. However, parking is a problem in the town. And I don't know who is responsible. I don't know what the history has been regarding a parking meter made, but I can tell you that there was correct me if I'm wrong, Michael, business administrator, that I saw something on your website maybe a month or two ago that you're $10,000 in arrears in parking meter. Now,
Just so you know, because I know it's the first time, I'll
Okay.
answer you at the end, so there's no back and forth, I don't want you to.
okay, so whether it's true or not, this is
Yeah,
what
that's
I
fine.
had read.
I'll-
Okay, so my comment to that would be, if tickets were being given out, then maybe people would be putting money into the meter. 25 cents, Mayor, that's a bargain. For an hour, 75 cents for 3 hours, that's an absolute bargain. You go to other towns, it's $1 for 45 minutes. Okay, so I just think that the parking situation needs to be addressed, and the speeding aspects along Wanacue Ave before it becomes a catastrophic situation needs to be addressed. Okay, so I thank you for your time. I appreciate it.
Thank you, and I'll answer you one more time.
Thank you.
Thank you. Anyone else from the public like to first? Mr. Pope?
Good evening. Thanks, everyone. I actually came here for the same reason as Randy, to
Can I just
bring...
get your name and address?
Oh, yeah. Charlene Sterfone, 54 Hill Court, Pompton Lakes. I came for the same reason as Randy. There's a lot of overlap. My concern is crossing the street from west onto West Lenox, coming up. So I live right near Mike, and my daughter is 12, and now she's getting older. She wants to go out with her friends. They want to go on their own without mom and dad. They go up, they cross over the footbridge, they walk up the hill to Max, and then they cross the street there. They generally like to go to the Lenox playground. I have seen so many times when I've been there, and also she has told me, there have been many near misses to the point where I'm honestly very concerned. I don't want to hold up a 12-year-old from hanging out with her friends, but I just have a true concern about the safety of her and other kids. There's reckless driving, there's speeding. I think there's a solution that we can all work towards, whether it's implementing a speed bump there or just having more oversight. It's during the summer, there's no crossing guard, but even during the school year, if my daughter or other kids have something before or after school when the crossing guard's not there, we're facing the same issue. So I'm hoping something can be done. That's one. My second question is kind of related. I know I think there was an announcement that there were plans to work on that bridge, the footbridge behind Max. From what I had heard before, I thought the timeline was supposed to be over the summer, but since nothing has started, I wanted to see if there's an updated timeline, and if anything is happening, if that bridge will be usable for the school year. Thank you.
Thank you. Anyone else from the public like to address? Seeing no one, can I have a motion to close the public session?
Motion.
Councilman Bennett, Councilman Santers, all in favor?
Aye.
Okay, first of all, I'm gonna agree with both of you, and I'm gonna answer you both at the same time, if you don't mind. But we understand when there's a situation in Wanacue with speeding cars and just what you said, getting right on your ass when, excuse me, my language, and trying to pull out, when you're trying to get out of a spot, it makes it very difficult. But the other part that I think both of you are missing is it's a county road. We don't have responsibility for that road. How that road is laid out, what kind of spots are there, what sizes they are, is all from the county. Now, that being said, we can ask the county for certain things to try to make that work better. I will definitely talk to my police chief is usually here every meeting. He had to go somewhere. He'll be back in another 15, 20 minutes. He will definitely watch this and get the message. We will put patrols out there by the station and by the crossing, which I know is very dangerous over there. But, we can only do that when they're there. The part about the parking and the meters. First of all, we've discussed increasing the cost to park in the meters. our meters still take a nickel. Show me another town whose meters take a nickel. Okay, so we do have to increase those costs. The problem is, a couple years ago, there was a law passed from the state that says we're not allowed to chalk tires, which is how we used to keep track of cars, how long they were there. And maybe the attorney can help me with this. There's now, you're not allowed to do that. So then it becomes an issue of how do you know how long the car was sitting there? Now, we have just added cameras downtown in most places. I don't know, and Mike, maybe we can figure this out, if that's something we can use to our advantage for how long cars are parking, because it is an issue, and it's people who go to the city, they park their cars there, they go for 8 hours, and then they come back. Maybe they get a ticket, maybe they don't, but at the end of the day, they don't really care about it. And it's been an ongoing issue downtown for many, many years. It's not an easy thing to fix, and we will look into solutions, I think, till we can try to work with that. I'm a big supporter of the downtown. I'm a big supporter of the mom and pop shops we have downtown. I don't want to see them go. And the availability of parking is the key part of that whole thing. I know everybody has parking in the back, but when you're going to get an ice cream, you don't want to have to park in the back. You want to park close to the store and walk and do that. So if we can stop that in any way, getting those cars out of there, I will definitely, and Mike, maybe we'll have a meeting with the chief and our council president to discuss the best way to handle that. On the same time, and I know you know where I live, and I live by the bridge, and my kids used to walk up there. We've looked at a flashing light. We've asked the county to put a flashing light there. I think it would help, but it doesn't always fix the problem because there's so many flashing lights now around the towns that people just kind of ignore them. Really, it's enforcement and ticketing is the key to the whole thing. And we've done numerous times sting operations where when somebody is standing on the red box in the cross zone and a car doesn't stop, they're going to get a ticket for that. Once you're in that box, that's why those red boxes are there on the ends. That's meaning you're crossing the crosswalk, and the car does have to stop by law. So I can ask the chief to redo those again and put them out. But at the end of the day, unfortunately, and that's what makes Pompton Lake so special, that connection area right there is the connection between north and south, right? So there's a lot of traffic going through there. There's trucks going through there. There's people not obeying our laws. They're not from town, and they're speeding down there. So we see it all the time. I have people making U-turns right in the middle of the highway there sometimes. All dangerous stuff, especially, just like you said, a 10-year-old, 12-year-old kid wants to walk up there, get some ice cream, do something. They should be able to be safe to walk up there when they do that. I have no issues with that. So I will speak to my chief to see the best way we can handle that. At one point, and maybe Councilman Bennett, you remember, didn't we talk about the stepping on the pad and the light going on? Mm-hmm. I don't know what happened to that idea, but maybe the county said no. I don't know, but they do make some of these lights that when you step into that red box area, the light starts flashing. That to me would seem like a good suggestion, and we can go back and try to see if the county will be willing to do that. We can't just put it up because it is a county road, so we can't just do that. Speaking of the bridge, the first bridge was done at Hirschfield Park. That is finished and complete. The second bridge will probably be done next summer. They're ordering it now. And it's a big situation again because I live in that neighborhood. My kids went there. Closing down that bridge for 5 months is going to become an issue because there's a lot of kids crossing there to go to school, and the only way around that is to walk all the way around. So we've made the county well aware that they're going to have to figure that out. And we've talked about maybe a temporary bridge or even a bus that goes around, but if they're going to do it during school hours and school time, they're going to have to figure that out. And going back to the parking, I have to ask my chief, because you bring up a point. I've never heard that a handicap sticker means you don't put money into a meter. Does anybody know that? I've never heard that.
Yeah.
Is that true? Yeah. That you don't put money in a meter?
You have to put it in initially, and then after.
Yeah, but people just generally don't.
But I'm saying, is that a law that says you don't have to put?
Yeah, they're afforded additional time. It's something in Title 39. I can't tell you what the quote is.
But they still have to put money in the meter to pay.
They're supposed to, yes.
Okay, well, we'll have to check on that because that's a big deal to me too, because everybody's got a handicap sticker nowadays, and if they're gonna be able to park their car there for 5 hours, then that's a problem.
Yeah, but that may be a problem you can't do anything about.
And that, again, that gets over my head. It gets to the county, it gets to the state. They come up with their own wacky rules up there. They don't make common sense half the time when they're talking things. And I'm going to tell you this, and I've been doing this a while. Sometimes they're not very business friendly, especially when it comes to small towns. We know how important our downtowns are and our businesses are downtown. Sometimes the county's been doing better. They've hired some better people there that are working, but I can tell you the state doesn't really care. about our downtown. They worry about their highways. That's what they worry about. So that's something else we'll look into. I usually don't do this, but I'll allow you to ask a question because I know you just raised your hand. Go ahead.
I do, Mayor. On something that you mentioned, 2 points. You mentioned that you have cameras, and I've seen the cameras around town. The chief did indicate to me that there's an officer, and I don't know if it's just one officer or a multitude of officers that have an iPad with them that says that it will indicate if they're using the electronic payment system, it will show up on the iPad that the time has expired. I don't know.
Mike,
if
is that
that's
true?
or not.
All right, so we just put those in, so I should, thank you for bringing that up. We are gonna look at replacing all our metered, units.
I compliment you
with
on that and the VA because I think those meters are awful, and I think the signage is awful, and I think that could be done.
So that's something we are looking into, and really the real reason we're doing it is they're so old that we can't get replacement parts for them, so it becomes an issue. So we are going to probably go to the full thing, but saying that, there is a population in the community that likes putting in their dime and 2 nickels to pay for their half-hour parking. So, we have to incorporate that too, but that's a good point, and I will ask my chief about that. And I'm gonna ask Michael to, maybe you could follow up after we have the meeting with the chief to see with you, just figure out what we talked about.
I'm happy to sit in with yourself, anybody. You know where I am. Just come and see. I'll be happy to discuss all my thoughts on this because in my email of March 28th, I did even put in that email a listing of alternative ideas.
Yeah, I saw that. I was on that email.
That might be useful.
And do you have any other questions? Well, I got, no, okay. All right, well, thank you guys for coming. Thank you.
Oh, Mayor,
Yes, go ahead.
Mayor.
Yeah, sure.
You said that trunk and the tires we can't do, but can we number the spaces and like the officer walking by can see this car's been parked in this space 3 hours, and then, the space is numbered, and this way they have logs of it. We do that, something like that?
I'd have to look into it, but when they changed the laws with the marking of the tires, it was a whole thing that we're not supposed to be keeping identification of a car on how long they're in a spot. I don't know why they came up with that reason, but that's what the state came up with. I don't know where what you're saying falls into it. I can find that out. I'll get the answer to that. But I think our best route is the 2 ways, is by using the pads, because we can actually see the time the car paid the first meter, and by using our cameras. Now, just for the public's concern, we just put in new cameras everywhere downtown in the last year. So we're still getting used to using that system, and we're going to use it for everything, from downtown problems with storefronts to graffiti to illegal parking. So we're growing with that right now. And but that's something we'll talk about, I guess, with the chief, Mike, when we have a chance. All right, thank you. Motion to approve the following minutes. Regular meeting minutes, June 24th, closed session meeting, June 24th.
Motion.
Councilman Bay,
Second?
Council President Kent, all in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
What's that? Present. Oh, I got a present there, Marie. Liz. Okay, got that. Bills and claims, authorizing payment of bills as listed below. Can I have a motion, Councilman Bennett,
Second.
Councilman Santos, all in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Consent agenda, anybody need anything removed? No? Okay, Liz.
Whereas the mayor and borough council of the borough of Pompton Lakes have reviewed the consent agenda consisting of various proposed resolutions. Whereas the mayor and the borough council of the borough of Pompton Lakes does not desire to move resolutions for individual action from that agenda. Now therefore be it resolved that the following resolutions on the consent agenda are hereby approved. Resolution 26-294 through 26.
Can I have a motion?
Motion?
Council President Kent,
Motion.
Councilman Santos, all in favor?
Aye.
Against? Ordinances.
Aye.
Ordinance for first reading. Ordinance 2624, an ordinance amending and supplementing the salary ranges of the employees of the borough of Pompton Lake in the county of Passaic and the state of New Jersey.
Motion to approve ordinance 26-24 for introduction.
Motion.
Councilman Bennett,
Second?
Council President Kent, roll call, please.
Council President Kent.
Yes.
Councilman Santos.
Scott?
Yes. Yes.
Councilman Bennett.
Yes.
Councilman Bay.
Yes.
Second reading. final adoption, ordinance 2622, an ordinance amending chapter 11 of the revised general ordinances of the Borough of Pompton Lakes to add a section regarding the Borough of Pompton Lakes Civic Community Center.
So this is just in reference to, we're going to start renting out our civic center, and we put a contract kind of in place, and this is just a follow up on that. Mike, do you want to add anything?
In my report.
Oh, your report, okay. Motion to open the meeting for public comments on ordinance 26-22.
Motion.
Councilman Bennett, Councilman Santers, all in favor?
Aye.
Against? Anyone like to address just this ordinance?
Aye.
Seeing no one, motion to close the public section on ordinance 26-22.
Motion.
Councilman Bennett, Councilman Begg, all in favor?
Aye.
Motion to approve ordinance 26-22 for final adoption.
Motion?
Council President Kent,
Second.
Councilman Santers, roll call, please.
Council President Kent,
Yes.
Councilman Santers,
Scott?
Yes.
Councilman Bennett,
Yes.
Councilman Begg.
Yes.
Ordinance 2623, an ordinance amending and supplementing the salary ranges of the employees of the Borough of Pompton Lakes in the County of Passaic and the State of New Jersey.
Why is this one on the second reading? Is it different? It's different than this?
Yeah, it is different.
No, it's the same thing, but it's different. Okay.
That's it, different.
Motion to open the meeting for public comments on ordinance 26-23.
So moved.
Council President Kent,
Second.
Councilman Bennett, all in favor?
Aye.
Against? Anyone like to address just this ordinance 26-23? Seeing no one, motion to close the public session on ordinance 26-23.
Motion.
Councilman Bennett,
Second?
Council President Kent, all in favor?
Aye.
Against?
Aye.
Motion to approve ordinance 26-23 for final adoption.
Motion.
Motion.
Councilman Bennett, Councilman Santers, roll call, please.
Council President Kent,
Yes.
Councilman Santers,
Yes.
Councilman Bennett,
Yes.
Councilman Begg.
Yes.
Okay, thank you. Okay, under my report, I'll start with some good news. We had a meeting with the builders of the Meridian building. They are 3/4 approved with their apartments inside. They do have a restaurant coming in. They told me who it is. It is an upscale type of diner that'll serve breakfast, lunch, and dinner. And they're going to start leasing out probably in the end of August and start to move people in probably in the middle of September. So they've gotten some temporary COs, which you need to move in. They haven't gotten them on all the apartments, so they've got about 160 apartments ready to go. And and they've gotten a lot of calls. People are interested in moving in. They've been calling for the last month saying, when can I get, they want to be the first ones to move in. I don't know why, but that's what they want to do. So that's all good stuff. It's all good stuff for our tax base. It's all good stuff for our downtown businesses. This is why we spent so much, and let me just tell you, I've started this project along with some other people over 10 years ago. And to see it finally coming in is a big deal for me. I mean, I had a fight and we had to learn as we went, but this is a nice project. And I know some people might be unhappy with the look of the building, but at the end of the day, it brings in what we call walking wallets. These are people that come in who want to shop in town, they want to eat in town, they want to go to a bar in town, they want to do all these things and live in the town. So when we first put this together, two of the reasons we put it together, we were hearing from seniors, especially in the South End, that have been here 50 years. They love this town. They want to stay here, but maybe the flooding has gotten to them a little bit, and they want to get out, and they don't want to have to worry about their yards anymore and everything else. So we were hoping those seniors would move into these apartments. The other group we were looking at are the young adults, 25 to 30-year-olds. They're looking for their first homes. They love the town. They want to get their foot in the door, start with an apartment, save some money, and maybe buy a home. So we're looking to have those people move in. This is what keeps the family, in my opinion, this is what keeps our town thriving, right? Young families coming in, bringing in new ideas and new people coming in. So this is something that I think will work out well. I can tell you the first building that we built, which is Lakeside Commons, which that was the first one, it was only 62 units. That got rented out completely in 6 months. It was rented out. So I foresee good things here. The developer is not somebody who's new at this. He's built many, many buildings in the state of New Jersey over many years over this. He also helped us with, and I'm sure our administrator will talk about our new civic center. That was all donated by this builder. The whole revamping of that whole building was all done at no tax dollars. It was done by the developer himself. So I'm excited to see that happen, and that's all good news. I was going to hold their foot to the fire a little bit if we didn't have a restaurant. Right now, restaurants are a little tough with the costs, but I'm glad to see that they have somebody coming in, and that's good to see. I had a couple meetings with our building department over numerous complaints that we've had from residents. I'm just going to remind residents in general, you cannot run a business out of your home, okay? So, you can't run any kind of business, a landscaping business, a rental company, that's just not allowed. And especially if neighbors start complaining, you will be called out and be fined for that, and it's not a cheap fine. So keep that in mind. There's processes in place if you want to have a business. And it has to be zoned for a business. I had the privilege, which I always love, of going to summer camp and talking to the kids. Talking to kindergartners about what we do here is a little challenging at best, I can tell you that. But they, all the camp counselors were great, and a lot of the kids were great. And, to a lot of the kids, and I forget because I've been here a long time, they don't know that where they have camp used to be a swimming hole, and people used to come from all over, like a beach, and set up an umbrella and sit around the lake. And they just are amazed by that when you tell them those kind of stories, or you tell them that George Washington slept in this house and in this house. We actually, that day it was very hot, and we met in Lennox School, explaining to them, if you look carefully, you'll see boys and girls on the school. And back in the day, this was the one school we had, and the boys went in one side and the girls went in on the other side, and they kind of didn't meet in the middle. And, we had high school kids there, we had middle school kids there, and we had elementary. They were all amazed by all those things. They had great questions, and I just love doing that. So that's always fun to do. Let's see, what else I have. We had some issues at Carlo Field, and I got to thank the MUA for stepping in to help us fix some situations we have down there. Everything is up and running and ready to go. Willow Field has made it through its first real season, without breaking anything, which is a good sign. And now the grass can grow and the trees can grow. We got some time put aside, and we can move forward. We've started the garbage pickup in Oakland. We expected some bumps in the road, nothing crazy, but we've had some bumps in the road, and everything's working fine. I just have to remind everybody, nothing of the garbage pickup for our Pompton Lakes residents is changing. You have the same days, the same pickups, the same ways you've done your garbage for many years. The only advantage you're going to get, probably at the end of August, beginning of September, we will now pick up your grass clippings from your house. So that is a big difference from what we used to do. And I will tell you, one of the things when I ran 20 years ago was to get the grass clippings picked up. I never got anywhere with that, but just by chance it worked out for us to have the grass clippings picked up. So it is working. We've hired 10 new employees for the DPW that are working in Oakland and then working for us after the fact, after they're done with their work in Oakland. More to come on that. And now that the chief came back in, just when you were out, there was a lot of conversation on two things, which either you could talk about it now or in your report. Okay. Speeding on Wanacue Avenue and at the crosswalks especially. So coming up from my side, the neighborhood, the kids want to cross to go across the street, and they're younger, cars are not stopping at that intersection. And then and you could explain this better, the marking or the explaining of how long a car has been sitting in a parking spot. There's a 3-hour limit and how we're addressing that.
Okay.
So you want to do that now or you want to do it in your report?
I could do it in the report.
Okay, do it in your report. Okay. And that's my report. Council President.
Thank you, Mayor. I want to first have my deepest condolences to the family of Frank Dalton. He's an icon of a public servant to this community for over 30 years. He was a fireman and a first aid responder, and he will be missed by many, many, and his legacy will live on. I attended a ribbon cutting at Vizio's Martial Arts on Wanacue Avenue. We had over 80 people attend, including the students of the school and these big Chinese dragons. They were very interesting, and it was a very exciting experience. They gave a wonderful demonstration, and everybody really enjoyed it. So our downtown is really being used, and we have new businesses coming in. So all of the items that were discussed here by our residents and shop owners, and is very important to keep the businesses here. So I'm looking forward to hearing how that's going to happen. I also attended the open space meeting. We met at Lakeside Avenue at the Muller property. We call it a field trip, and sometimes we need to do that instead of just meeting in an office. And we took a look at what was necessary to improve that property. That property was purchased by open space funds about, I want to say, 12 to 15 years ago. And we haven't touched it. So now we're going to have an opportunity to make some improvements on that. We're looking at the road. We're looking at removing the fence. The open space members are very excited about doing that, and I believe we're going to be getting grants with our administrator. We're going to be looking at grants with that. So we're looking forward to finishing that part of the acquisition. That's also because it was acquired with open space funds. It's 100% paid for out of open space. So we're looking for county open space funding to match. We also discussed at the meeting the Joe Grill Field, the Willow Sports Complex, and the signage. The open space committee is looking to create a large complex sign with the field locations. I think Councilman Steve Beggs is going to be talking a little bit about that, or?
I didn't put it in. I can talk about.
Okay, it's up to you, but I didn't want to steal your thunder.
Yeah, no, don't, you're not stealing it.
Okay.
Steal away, is that what you're saying?
Yeah.
But because that project was paid for we paid for that through open space funds, and the open space committee spent years on trying to get that property to do exactly what we've done, and they're very proud of that. So now we're talking about signage. So we will be talking about that with the borough administrator, the mayor, Councilman Begg, and myself. Okay. We had a major discussion regarding tickets for tenants, landlords, or store owners who continue to place garbage along Wanacue Avenue without utilizing the proper garbage cans, storing their garbage in inappropriate time of day and hours. And we are going to be discussing that again with the property maintenance officials and the police officials. You know, there's a lot of Facebook pages. People love to put these pictures on Facebook, but honestly, we had a wonderful presentation by our chief last council meeting. He discussed all of the ways to handle this. He went through every ordinance that we have. He made really good suggestions, and so now we have to implement them to make the town exactly what we need to have. And thank you for that, and I thank you for coming and talking about that, Randy. Okay, so on a personal note, I completed my security awareness training course, which is 2 hours of my time doing cyber security training, which we all need. So that's painful, but it's done. If you didn't, you won't be able to use your computer.
I got to check.
I also want to thank Kristen Russell, the young lady who is our planner, and Mrs. Novak. She is the chairman of the redevelopment agency. This is a long time coming program. We wanted this many, many years ago, but it finally came to fruition. And this plan, I was on many of those calls. I'm a part of that project. It's called the Guidance Design Program with the mayor. And I want to tell you, this is essential. We have to have this in order to have good future development. And it'll help the developers, and it'll help our townspeople. It'll give guidance to keep it in a nice historic way, but at the same time, develop what we need to have developed in an appropriate manner. So that's very important that we pass that. I'm also attempting to get the PAL members, the council members, and the Fleischer family together in August for a photo of the park benches that were placed in Hirschfield Park in honor and memory of Rich Fleischer. Hopefully we'll have that in August. I was going to ask our attorney for the 4th month now what the governor's office, and if they've actually responded to our letter that was sent to her regarding the DuPont $75 million payment to the state, because I'm asking for at least $20 million to come back to the town, people who were actually damaged, to our residents and our taxes, and I want some restitution for the injuries that happened here. And Mark Cimarero, our attorney, put together a letter. I think you've sent 3 out, and I want to know, has there been any response to the 3rd one?
No response at all. And as you recall, the state prevented the towns from making the claim because the state pursued the claim themselves. And then they kept the money and aren't allocating it to the affected towns, which is really problematic.
Well, the fact that they did that is abhorrent. But the fact that they don't even answer us, that letter represents 12,000 people. So that one letter should be answered. And I don't know what we're gonna do. We have to send another letter, we need another phone call, but we have to have an answer to that. And I want to thank you for doing that. And that is my report.
Thank you for reminding me of Frank Dalton. You know, that he's a typical Pompton Lakes person who spends his time and energy, besides working all day, taking care of family and doing all those things, putting his hours in to the fire department, the volunteer ambulance squad. You know, he will be surely missed. He was still going to meetings and active calls up to, a couple of years ago. So condolences to the whole family. Councilman Begg.
Thank you, Mayor. I attended last month's historic meeting. Still in the process of organizing the 250th anniversary event. We have another meeting coming up, so I'm sure we'll kind of solidify that at the next meeting. Open space, again, we met at Lakeside Park. It was a really good meeting, and everybody did seem to be pretty energized about just the future of the Moeller property and improvements that could be made down there. Hopefully a sidewalk getting put in from Jefferson down to Chandler Court. So we did discuss the signs, and we'll have another meeting coming up about that as well, because that was a pretty big deal to the committee. So I also went to the Trails Committee. They met 2 Saturdays ago. It was a little bit of a light crew. Despite that, work still got completed. The next trail maintenance is August 9th at 9 o'clock, so as many people that can get out there. Things are growing, especially with the way the weather's been, so I'm sure the trails are starting to get overgrown already. And then lastly, Recreation wanted me to make a few announcements. So the paddle boat and kayak rentals are available every weekend from 10 to 3 through Labor Day. There's also cornhole and ping pong that you can use down there as well. Pickleball is happening every Monday and Wednesday nights from 6 to 8 at Hirschfield Park. Volleyball takes place on Monday nights from 6 to 8 at Hirschfield Park. National Night Out is coming up on August 4th from 5:30 to 8:30 in the high school parking lot. The fire department's hosting their 125th anniversary from 2 to 8 at the firehouse. And I got to relook at what that date was. It was August 22nd, I think.
Yeah, I don't either.
Something like that. And then Pompton Day is Sunday, September 6th from 11 to 5 on Lakeside Ave. Starts with the 5K and the fishing derby in the morning. Fireworks will end the night at 8:30 over the bridge. And then the last thing is senior breakfast is August 15th at the Elks. RSVP by calling 973-839-4167. And that's my report.
And thank you for reminding me. That's open to any seniors here in Pompton Lakes. You don't have to be a member of a club or anything else. So if you want to join the senior luncheon, it's inside. They have a band and they have free food and stuff going on there. You're more than welcome to come down. I think you just called the number you had just said to give us a count, right? That's all we really need. Okay. One thing I forgot in my report, with all these electrical problems we've been having in the last month, I will be having a meeting with what they call the North Jersey mayors, with the representatives from Jersey Central, the chair people, to bring up concerns that we have in our towns. And, yes, we'll talk about lighting and things, but one of the biggest concerns is the whole structure in the state is very old. So and a good example is we had one street where a transformer blew out 3 times, and all it is a switch, to switch it, to turn it back on. But they were so inundated with power issues, they didn't turn that switch on for 5 days. That's not fair to the residents to be out of power for 5 days, and all they have to do is replace a switch that takes 5 minutes. So those are the kind of things that the Jersey Central, for us, because that's what we use here, has to be more responsive to. I'm not asking them to rebuild, 7 poles that came down. I'm asking them to send somebody, replace a switch that's going to take 20 minutes, and it's going to put, I don't care if it's only 50 residents, back with power. We have elderly there. We had people with newborn babies. It was a real situation at some points, and they had no place to go. So, I am going to push hard with that. And I can tell you there's been a lot of pressure from the other meetings they've had with southern mayors and mid-mayors over the same situation. So hopefully something can get done. It has to come from the state. They're going to have to push very much harder to update our infrastructure with power, because it's going to become an issue as we move forward. Councilman Santos, Scott, you have a report?
Yeah, I do. Thank you, Mayor. First thing is I attended the first concert on the lawn with the 3M band. It was well attended. It was a packed house. Wendy's was there. They were handing out hamburgers, French fries, chicken nuggets, and iced tea to everybody. And they had plenty of food. It was well, like I said, it was well attended. Also attended the ribbon cutting at Vizio's, and same thing. That was a nice presentation that they did. I attended the Board of Education meeting. So Dr. Amoroso's last Board of Ed meeting will be August 13th. I'm sorry, August 11th at 7:30 at the board office. And as well as they approved the appointment of Denise Velez as superintendent of schools. Her tenure will start on September 1st, 2026. They also passed awarding the contract for a new running track, bleachers, and press box at Hirschfield. The bid came in at $2,600,000. This will include new bleachers, box. So the new bleachers for home team will not be on the same side. It will be on the visitor side. There will be no bleachers on the side as of right now. For the track will be it will not be a regulation track. It will just be the track which is there, but they will surface it with what kind of surfacing? They didn't say what surface, what kind of surfacing, but like a rubberized track, which is wouldn't interfere with floods. And let's see here. Oh, and then I attended the MUA meetings. Their annual report for the quality is out. You can get that full report on their website, which is https://www.tlv.org/customer-information/. So you can go on that.
I got that. No problem, Scott.
One more time.
Water quality report will be there. Also, water meters here, a lot of the water meters are 20 years plus, and there's batteries in them, and the batteries are they're going to start going bad or old, and the water company will come around and install new ones, but they will contact the homeowner to schedule a replacement date. And they won't be on every house. It'll be only on the meters that aren't working. And they ask you every once in a while to check your meters, make sure they're not leaking and they're not cracked. This will save in water costs. Sewer responsibilities. Do not put your grease or oils down your sinks, because this could clog your sewer lines, which if your sewer lines are clogged, it's your responsibility, and most times the homeowners won't cover that. And then also water concerns. Discolored, smelly waters, that's caused by mineral settlements in pipes. Although it's displeasing, there's no health risk. Rotten egg odor is caused by pockets of hydrogen sulfates. Run your cold water for 5 to 10 minutes until the water runs clear. Cloudy water is caused by bubbles or calcium in water. When left sitting, bubbles will rise to the surface and dispute calcium carbonates. So just it's no problem. And then hardness of the water refers to the concentration of non-toxic minerals, calcium, magnesium. characteristics of groundwater, has no adverse effect on the health. According to the National Academy of Sciences, it may contribute to healthy diet. And that is my report.
Thank you. Yeah, they just came in and replaced my meter. It only took 5 minutes. They were in and out in 5 minutes. So if they're asking you to replace your meter, I would let them in. That way you don't take a chance. So thank you. Councilman Bennett.
Thank you, Mayor. I want to start off by thanking Ms. Russell for the design guide presentation. As mentioned previously, it's long overdue and will definitely help our downtown maintain a certain look. Lakeside Commons, you mentioned before, which was where the Salvation Army building was. Previously, it was an old building with a huge parking lot and not very well maintained. The redevelopment agency, before I became involved, worked very hard to get it to look the way it does today, including matching Pompton Lakes High School and the post office in the design. It did not look like that initially, correct? If I remember correctly. So it's a beautiful building. And I'm glad that it looks the way it does. The redevelopment agency met last week where we approved the Smith project. This is the building that goes along Colfax between Wanacue and Lakeside. This project has been back and forth a few times with the redevelopment agency and started out higher. It's currently going to be a 4-story building with retail on the ground floor with a coffee shop on the corner. I think it's a good project. It looks way better than what we have currently today. I believe the next step is a planning board review.
It'll be us. It'll come to us.
It'll come to us, okay. The library board did not meet this month. The next meeting is September 21st. I also want to congratulate Visio's for their grand opening. The ribbon cutting was very well attended. And lastly, the summer stroll, which was canceled last week or a couple weeks ago due to the air quality. The next one is on August 21st. And that's my report, Mayor.
And just to reiterate what you said, the Smith project, which is coming back and forth, this is what the redevelopment agency does. They told them the building was too high. They told them there was too many units in it. They reduce it. They wanted less units. They're not going to give up any retail. Initially, they were trying to give up the retail on the bottom floors. There was going to be a garage there. So the redevelopment agencies didn't accept any of those things. So these developers had to keep coming back, changing it, till finally they're going to keep all the retail. When I say they're going to keep all the retail, all the businesses that are there now will be offered retail back in if they want to come back in. And then if they don't, then it's offered to other people. And then the parking, there is no more parking structure being built there. It's all going to be internal in the basement, and we're going to sell them spots out of the pond hole. So that's how the give and take goes back and forth, the redevelopment and planning board. The next step, you're right, would be coming to us and then eventually the planning board. Okay, attorney, have any report?
I have no report, Mayor.
Thank you. Administrator.
Thank you, Mayor. Please note that the County of Passaic has awarded the borough a $10,000 grant for what's called the America 250 program. So we're using this funding to support T-shirts for the Pompton Day and Pompton Day 5K, as well as American-themed patriotic inflatables for Pompton Day. So I want to thank Steve and Karen Murphy for all their work in helping me with that. So that's good news. On tonight's meeting agenda, we did have several contracts on, namely for the Hirschfield Park Phase 3 improvements project, which consists of the resurfacing of all of our walking paths in Hirschfield Park. We do have a bid opening scheduled for August 19th at 10 o'clock a.m. with a likely construction date after Pompton Day. So that's good news. We also have a bid opening for what we call miscellaneous ADA curb ramp upgrades project, which consists of curb ramp upgrades on Riverview Road, Pine Street, Riverdale Road, Durham Street, White Way, Harding, and several other streets. And this project was funded by a $165,000 community development block grant from the county. In addition, we are working on the bid specs for the Lakeside Ave Phase 1 project, which again is the resurfacing of Lakeside Ave from Jefferson Ave to Chaling Court and Chaling Court, and we're hoping to go out to bid in September for that project. So that is a to be determined schedule for that. And then lastly, for the contracts, we had on a contract for the Pompton Lakes Public Library exterior upgrades project, which is funded by $750,000 worth of federal and county grant funding. And we're hoping to go out to bid for that project over the winter for a spring project. So lots of projects going on. Just wanted to point out and thank Meridia Capadagli for returning to the Civic Center to address several drainage-related concerns, as well as the installation of a new drain in the police department parking lot and additional sidewalk at the rear of the Civic Center, which, as the mayor knows, allows for egress out of the Meridia building onto borough property. So we're looking forward to that. I did want to thank the DPW for all their work in the hot summer for the garbage and landscaping. So just wanted to appreciate them and all their hard work that they do for the borough. As the mayor mentioned, the Civic Center is now accepting applications for rentals from residents for parties such as bridal showers, baby showers, birthdays, graduations, etc. That process will begin on or after August 1st, and residents are advised to contact the borough clerk's office for the application. So we're looking forward to that. I also wanted to recognize, it was on tonight's agenda, and I know that he'll be here at a future meeting, but just wanted to congratulate Police Sergeant Jonathan Williams for his retirement from the borough, for after years of dedicated service to the community and residents. So thank you to Sergeant Williams, and I know Chief will echo sentiments on that. And lastly, as the mayor indicated, our shared services agreement with the Borough of Oakland for solid waste recycling and vegetative waste collection services is ongoing. The staff is doing a great job with making some last-minute modifications with Oakland and finishing the collections much earlier than we had anticipated. So we're looking forward to continuing that successful agreement. Thank you.
And I'm going to echo your thanks on the DPW, because we've asked them to take care of what we're doing in this hot weather, but we've also asked a bunch of new guys to come in and pick up garbage in a new area, and some of these cans are not being the right weights, and there's a lot of involvement in heavy cans, and they haven't said, I'm not going to do it. They're working with us to make it happen. So especially in those days it's 105 degrees outside, we got to give them credit for that. Also, thank you for reminding me about Johnny Williams. He's been a long-time officer here. It's glad to see him retire. Hope he enjoys his retirement, and we'll talk to him more. And lastly, the only thing I'll say is I just want to wish Karen Murphy a healthy recovery. She's had some issues, and she'll be moving forward. Hopefully be ready to go for Pompton Day, which we're always looking for Karen when we're there, so hopefully she'll be there ready to go. Any questions for the administration? Nope? Okay. Motion to open the meeting for public comments.
Mayor.
Oh, I'm sorry. I always forget the chief, because that's new. I'm sorry. Forget that. The chief's report.
Yes. All right. So for the month of June, the department, as always, continued to be very proactive. We responded to a little over 2,010 incidents, of which 1,144 of them were dispatch calls for service. Our patrol officers increased their traffic enforcement this month. They conducted 294 motor vehicle stops, and they issued 255 motor vehicle summons as part of our ongoing commitment to improving our roadway safety. Our detective bureau remained very active, handling 15 new investigations while continuing several complex investigations in coordination with our county, state, and federal law enforcement partners. Department personnel also participated in the law enforcement torch run. We helped out with the school graduation ceremonies. We had our annual award ceremony and continued planning for our national night out. Internally, we continue preparing for our upcoming reaccreditation, which should be happening in the middle of August. We made advancements in technology, communication initiatives, and we remain in the background investigation phase for hopefully an additional officer to replace Chief Clark. Overall, June was another productive month. And I want to thank every member of the department for their continued professionalism and dedication to serving the residents of Pompton Lakes. And then as for Sergeant Williams, Sergeant Williams begins his terminal leave in August, and his official retirement date will be December 31st of 2026. He was sorry that he had to cancel tonight, but we will reschedule another night so that we can honor him. He has 20 years of dedicated service to the borough and the police department, and then he has a number of years prior to that with the MUA. So, we're going to wish him well as he does a good job here. As for some of the points that you brought up, where would you like me to start, Mayor?
Anywhere you want.
Okay. As for Wanacue Ave and speeding, what I will tell you is that we are actually in the process of another traffic study right now. The last traffic study that was done on Wanacue Ave was done, the results came in July 22nd, or actually the study was conducted between July 22nd of 2025 and July 28th of 2025, so almost a year ago. I can tell you in that study, the study did not identify any speeding issues on Wanacue Ave. There were 22,976 vehicles which traveled in that portion of the roadway. The average speed on Wanacue Ave was 22.28 miles per hour, with 80% traveling below the posted speed limit of 25 miles per hour. The majority of vehicles which were caught speeding were doing so between the hours of 5 a.m. and 8 a.m. Now again, that study was from a year ago. We have a current study now taking place on Wanacue Ave, and we'll get you that report when that study is done. As for the ordinance, there is a 3-hour.
Well, let's go back. The crosswalks.
The crosswalks.
Yeah, especially by the gas station or the max crosswalk.
So is the complaint that the cars are not stopping?
Not stopping. The resident that brought it up makes a good point in that, as you know, that's a cutoff for a lot of kids coming up from that side of town to go back to the other side of town for whatever reason.
Yes.
And, when we have young kids crossing there, especially when there's no crossing guard there in off hours, like in the summertime, really we need to enforce the stopping of those cars at that, especially all crosswalks, but especially that one.
Yes, I mean, it's definitely, it's definitely an issue. We want our residents to stop, or people that are doing business in town to stop. As always, our officers are informed of that. If they observe it, they would definitely, they should be taking action in those situations. I'm sure a part of the problem is that when these things are happening, unfortunately, there's not an officer in the area. If that's the case, and someone witnesses that, I would tell them that they could always call the police department, report it to us, make sure that they get the registration from that, the license plate number on that, and we can work with that person and if they want, they can file complaints. Unfortunately, we can't file complaints because we didn't witness the infraction at the time. But that being said, I can see how that.
So how does the new cameras work? Or can we use that can't use that?
The cameras can't be used to enforce the motor vehicle violations. Our officer actually has to witness it. So there are states, or there are some traffic cameras, I think, in other cities, and that, like a red light camera in some cities. I'm sure there's ordinances that have to be written, and there's guidelines with that. But what happens with those infractions, they're not the same as if an officer writes them. So if they're a moving violation, if you get a moving violation, you get points on your license. In the cities that have those cameras, like those red light cameras, they can get a monetary fine, but you can't give them moving violation points. And I'm not too sure with the law and the statute on how that how that would be regulated, but I think their ordinance would have to be written and things of that nature, and their guidelines.
All right, so years ago, we used to do sting operations on the crosswalks, putting our own officers in the crosswalks.
Yeah.
Something we could do again, you think?
We can definitely attempt to do it. The problem is having, in order to do a detail like that, you need like 4 or 5 officers. You need two officers that are going to be in a vehicle on either side, and then you need the decoy officers going through the crosswalk. So it takes a number.
I will say this, I think a little training goes a long way with that. So, we make a couple examples of people, and look, I live up there, I see it all the time. Most cars, a lot of cars are not stopping there. But, you see a young child trying to cross the street there, we shouldn't be taking a chance. So I would say we should try to do another sting operation there, even if we have to include overtime or make it work somehow.
Yeah, I think a first step too is I'm sure there's we can put some literature out on social media reminding everybody that they need to stop for pedestrians that are in the crosswalk. We can put it on our traffic sign too that we have posted on Wanacue
Yeah, that would
Ave,
help too, maybe.
Prepare to stop at the crosswalk, things of that nature to warn the public.
And we had talked, I'm gonna say 2 years ago, about asking the county for one of these mats, you step on the mats and it turns the lights on flashing, especially at that intersection.
Yes.
Because it's a very popular intersection. Is that something you think would work or not work, or?
I mean, it definitely helps on, you're talking about like I think we have one on Ramapo Ave, on Ramapo and
By the
Passaic.
church.
By
Yes.
the church?
By the church, yes.
So I walk through there daily. I think anything that lights it up would definitely help, especially in that major intersection.
But only when folks are crossing though, because if it's flashing all the time, people get.
Yes, you have to hit the button, and then when they're ready to cross, it'll flash. And I think it'll definitely wake people up. Might be something that we can.
So Mike,
look at.
maybe we can reach out to the county.
If I may add, Mayor, so as part of the county's road resurfacing program, every year the borough puts forth candidates that we would like to see resurfaced. So last year we had submitted for Hamburg Turnpike. This year the county is paving Hamburg from Terhune to the Bell. And this year we requested Wanacue Ave, knowing all these concerns going on, with the hopes of having Wanacue paved next year or the year after. So I think in the meantime, we should discuss with the county what we would like to see as part of a potential project to get ahead of it before it's too late and they're out to bid for a project and strictly just resurfacing the street without any pedestrian safety modifications. So we can have a meeting about that.
And I'll call the county executive myself, because they did have about a year ago, they had some extra funding, and that's how they got the Ramapo light in, because they had some extra funding. Let's see if we can push them a little bit to get that, and that's a busy intersection. I don't think they're gonna deny us if they can do it, to put it there. So let's have that conversation with them.
Yeah, I think it would be a good one, especially during we have the crossing guard out there during school. But if it's something where we can get like that light out there, and it gives us the option of also turning it on so that it's always on, like during school hours, that would definitely help the crossing guard out in that intersection.
All right, so let's work on that.
So,
All right, now let's talk about the parking on Wanacue.
yes, so there's a the current ordinance restricts parking for 3-hour increments, Monday through Friday, from 9 a.m. to 6 p.m. After 6 p.m., they can park there as long as they want. And that's only Monday through Saturday. Sunday doesn't apply, and certain holidays it doesn't apply. As for the chalking of the tires, so it was a very useful tool back in the day. Unfortunately, about 2019, there was an adverse ruling, I want to say from one of the circuit courts, that stated that it constituted a Fourth Amendment violation for a search. So we kind of went away from it. Since then, there's been some other cases that have happened, but there really hasn't been any clear guidance with that. So long story short being is that pretty much all police departments have gotten away from chalking tires. And really the only way to do that is you kind of have to have some type of camera there, which we now do have a lot of cameras on.
So can we use the cameras for that?
We can use the cameras for that to show that it didn't move.
So that's an easy thing right now, right? We can kind of pick a day, say a Tuesday. Let's ticket everybody on Tuesday who's there longer than 3 hours. And then, next month it's a Wednesday, or next week, whatever it is.
Yeah.
So we start educating the public a little bit. They can't do this.
Yes, we would have to, so right now we have the one public violations officer, which is Officer Eckers. He definitely gets out there, does the meters with Park Mobile and things like that. He also enforces the pond hole and stuff like that. So unless someone is reporting that to us too, we wouldn't necessarily know that a car is there for over 3 hours unless he actually goes there and then that car has the meter violation, because you can't renew the meter after 3 hours. It won't let
Well, you can
Park Mobile.
with coin, you can.
That would be the only, yeah. So if they do it that way, there would be no way for my officer to know that that car was there over the 3 hours.
Well, we would by camera though, wouldn't we?
We would, but there would be no way there. So he would have to observe it, issue him, let's say, a summons for the violation, or let's say he happened to observe that car at some time for whatever reason, and then look to enforce that particular summons. Otherwise it would be like looking at a needle in a haystack through all the cameras and all the.
So what I'm suggesting, and maybe I'm wrong, but let's just pick a day, a Tuesday from 12 to 3. We just go through, we pay someone to go through the films and see if a car's been there 3 hours. And then we have the plate, so we just ticket them.
I get what you're saying, but it would take the person off the road, and then they would be hours and hours looking at video, and then there's multiple videos, and then
Yeah, it would have to be only one video, right?
Yeah.
Can't go through 17 videos, right?
Yes, and you'd have to almost look at that individual car or that area to make sure it didn't move. It just wouldn't.
Well,
I don't know if that necessarily would be feasible.
No, and I get it, but I understand, and I've heard it from other residents too, that, and this is something I just learned from our attorney, I guess handicapped plate people don't have to put money in the meter. They're expended more time.
There's a couple of different ones. There's handicapped, disabled veterans. You can have a placard, and they're meter exempt.
But they still have to follow the 3 hour.
No.
They don't.
No.
As a matter of fact, I did while we were here. 394207 says that a person with a disabled placard, handicapped placard, could only be ticketed after overstaying by 24 hours.
Oh my gosh.
Yes.
Okay, so that becomes a situation. So if they know that, then they know they don't have to move their cars, correct?
Correct.
Is that what we're saying?
Correct.
That's not a great rule. No, you can't right now, no, sorry.
So, I mean, if there is a violation and someone were to report it to us, we would definitely take the action, and that's where the cameras would come into play, because then we can go to that particular area, make sure that the camera covers that area, let's say, and then look for that car that was described to us, and then we can go back and see how long of that car was actually parked there.
So we're talking about two different things. That's for a non-handicapped person.
Correct.
A handicapped placard, there's no restriction, they can stay there forever.
No, 24 hours.
24 hours. Move it once, then bring it back 24 hours, correct?
Yeah.
Okay.
But our Wanacue Ave is a little bit more restrictive in the fact that we have no overnight parking. So because we have no overnight parking, they wouldn't be able to park there 24 hours anyway.
Right, but they move in, they come back. All right, so that's the one side. Then what you're suggesting is if residents or storefront owners or whoever notice a car that they think has been there longer than 3 hours, they can make either an anonymous call to the police department or give their name and say, hey, look, I think this car's been there longer than 3 hours. Do some research on the camera to see if it's been there.
Correct.
Okay, so that's the way we want to handle that. Is there any patrolling that looks at that?
Yeah. So Officer Eckers, as the PVO, one of his main responsibilities is the traffic enforcement and the pond hole on Wanacue Ave.
All right, so that's something we should just remind him to keep an eye on.
Yes.
Because I've heard it from somebody today, but I've also heard it, for example, by the bakery and other areas. And I've spoken, at that time it was the bank. The bank found it easier to just keep putting money in the meter in front of the bank as an employee than walking around to the back of the bank and parking where they could park there all day. And their basic argument was, I'm putting money in the meter, I'm not breaking the law. But they are breaking the law if they're there longer than 3 hours.
Yes, yes, per the current order, yes,
Right.
per the current order, yes.
All right, any questions from the council on this?
Would we be able to limit, instead of 3 hours, reduce it to like an hour in front of certain stores? You think that
Because
would
the
help?
store people are shopping more than an hour, eating more than an hour, drinking more than an hour.
If they're getting ice cream.
Well, you can't just pick one spot.
Sure you can.
No, because you got a restaurant there too. You got Max right there. You got
Randy's is down from that.
yeah, but you got a Spanish restaurant there too.
I'm just saying 1 or 2 spots, man.
Yeah, but they're gonna the other restaurants are gonna say, I have people here that I want to stay 2 hours, 3 hours here.
Park elsewhere. 1 or 2 spots. 1 or 2 spots to get ice cream. I don't think is a.
Yeah, but then every store is gonna say, I want that in front of my store. Like the bakery's gonna say, I want that in front of my store.
Okay.
Cardinal Cafe's gonna say, I want that in front of my store.
Okay. Thank you.
So I think unless we come up with a better suggestion on this, if they call it in, no matter where they are on the street, we'll take a look at it. But the way I heard it from the initial person, and they might have another chance to speak when they come up, is that there was also handicap ballards that are in the car that we can't really respond to unless 24 hours goes by.
Correct, and they don't have to pay the meter.
And they don't have to pay. I
They're
didn't know that.
exempt. So
Okay.
it's not only handicapped, it's disabled veterans, it's a different placard.
Okay, any other questions? Okay.
On the crosswalk, flashing signs, I've been in towns where the crosswalk signs don't flash all the time. You push the button.
Right.
And then they flash. I might have missed this. And I've been in towns too. They have the flashing lights, and they also have like little flags that the people walk across the street with flags, so they go back and forth. This way, the traffic knows that somebody's trying to cross. So that might be an idea too.
I haven't seen that, but is that something they do? I don't know.
I haven't seen I don't know about the one with the flags, but that's kind of along the lines of what I'm saying, the ones that, we have the ones that flash already with the button.
Yeah.
But if we can, I'm sure there's gotta be some type of addition that we can put it where, we can go in there as well and then make it so that it's constant. So like, let's say when the crossing guard is there through like a peak time, so that it constantly warns that we're gonna be, that kids are constantly gonna be crossing, and watch out for the crossing guard, and then you can turn that.
And I remember a couple years ago, and they haven't done it since, but they used that special paint on those crosswalks that kind of shined more and was more stronger on the street than just typical white paint. Again, that's not us, that's the county that does that, but maybe we can ask the county, I don't know if they can revisit that. They use a special paint.
And if I may add, the borough did recently purchase a new professional line striping device that the DPW will be utilizing. So we are planning on restriping all the parallel parking spots and crosswalks on Wanacue Ave
We
at some
usually do that in
point.
August, right? Right
Yeah,
before school.
so we'll see when that is.
Okay, any other questions? No, okay. Motion to open the meeting for public comments.
Motion.
Second.
Councilman Denon, Councilman Babe, all in favor?
Aye.
Against? Anyone from the public like to address? Oh, I didn't miss workshop. No, you don't have workshop. Okay.
I'll address.
Sure, come on.
I'm going to take exception to what the chief said in
Just
regards
need your name and
to,
address.
pardon me,
Just need your name and address.
Randy Pratt, 322 Wanacue Avenue, Pompton Lakes. Under the code here, it says that a handicapped person is either the driver or a passenger in that vehicle. I can assure you, chief, that the person that is sitting in that parking spot is not the handicapped person that tag is for. I think the excuse that we've heard tonight, that we're going to use these cameras. I had a young lady who came to me several months ago from Lenox Avenue where her car was hit and run. And she knows that I have a video camera outside of my shop. And she was looking for a specific car because her neighbor saw that car hit her car. Unfortunately, I don't have high-tech camera work there. Allegedly, she came to the police department to ask if they had video camera. And she was told, allegedly, that the police do not monitor those cameras. So in order for the police department to monitor those cameras for a parking violation,
No, I
if
think you
no
missed the
one's
point.
monitoring
It
it?
wouldn't be monitoring.
All right.
They go back into the system and say, we need to look at the time frame between this and this.
I get that, Mayor, but again, what I'm hearing is pass the buck down the road. Get a meter made. One of the things, Chief, that you spoke at back in February, March at that Chamber of Commerce meeting when we first met, and again, it's a pleasure to meet you again. And this is not, please don't take this personally.
I don't.
This is just an aggravating situation that is taking place in our town, and it's hurting my business as well as other businesses around me when people consistently, in my opinion, break the law and there's no consequence.
So when you say break the law, we got to be more.
Meaning that they're extending their time
But
in
a
the
meter maid
parking.
won't fix that. How would a meter maid fix
I understand, but if there's not consistency, and I spoke with one of your officers about this, if there's not consistency in giving fines to the people who are breaking those parking regulations, then it's like the broken windows theory. You break one window, then you find a second broken window, and then you have helter
But
skelter.
what I'm saying is, even if we were to hire a meter maid, they would still have to, within that 3 hours, identify that car hasn't moved in 3 hours.
Maybe this is a question for the borough attorney. I'm not putting you on the spot, but I know, and I've read as well what the chief was indicating about the mark on the tire and stuff. And if the law is specific to a chalk mark, can it be a crayon mark? Can it be a sticky mark? Can it be something
No,
else?
I haven't seen the case, but it's gotta be having physical contact with the vehicle. I
Okay,
would think it's
so
an issue.
why have meters then? Get rid of the meters. Totowa Union Boulevard in Totowa, there's no meters. There's literally no lines painted on the road. And you had said earlier, Mayor, and I heard this back in the 1980s when I lived in town, Wanacue Ave is a county road. Take it back from them.
Can't just take it back. They won't do that.
Have a resurrection, okay? Do something.
I wish we could.
Because the
We have no
walls
control.
and everything it really is frustrating. And I'm sorry to take this out on you, Chief, but there needs to be something done. And sometimes I have found in 46 years of being in Pompton Lakes that it moves like a dead snail. Things don't get done. All right, and all I'm asking is that if there's a law in the code and it's on the books, enforce it with regularity and with consistency.
But I
That's
think,
all I'm asking.
and I hear you, and there's two parts to that. You know, usually the snow removal they did a horrible job on the county roads during these snowstorms. That's not my guys doing a bad job. That's the county doing a bad job. We call the county. We say, look, guys, you didn't come and plow this. There's snow against the doors, but we're held at their stuff. We can't say, come do this today. They come when they come. So that's the first thing. The second thing is, there is a law in the books, but the law has been changed about marking the tires. So now it becomes an issue of how do I identify that car hasn't moved in 3 hours. Now, you're the one who also brought up the handicap part of it. It seems to me, and I just learned this myself, that we don't really have anything to say about that. They could be there for a while.
All right, so you just brought something up about snow removal, that you have sidewalks where business owners are not removing their snow.
That is correct. We could find that, yes.
I can give you names and business names, okay? And the people who own those businesses that they are not removing their snow. I'm out there breaking my back shoveling when I should probably be in Key West, Florida, enjoying the sunshine during the winter. But I'm out there putting salt down and making sure that my sidewalk is clean.
And we do it, I can tell you, we do enforce that. We do give them some time.
No, you don't, because there were 3 storms this year. The person next to me didn't do her sidewalk at all.
But how do you know they didn't get a ticket?
They didn't. I know. They didn't.
I can't tell you.
They didn't.
But let's work with the problems you brought in.
Yeah.
I mean, so that's why we're addressing, we're talking about. I got the chief here. You know, I think to start with, I think the best scenario is if you see someone you think is longer than 3 hours, even if you think, just call the police department. It's not a big deal. Make a quick call. They'll review the tape on that car and keep a track on it. See, the problem is what I think he's saying is we can't just sit someone in front of a camera 24 hours a day to watch that. Just can't do that.
And just to clarify, the cameras, I don't know who this individual was, what officer that they spoke to, but the information that they got was incorrect. Those cameras are monitored 24 hours a day, 7 days a week in our dispatch center. That being said, there's over 20-something cameras in that dispatch center that are also being monitored. So someone's just not there specifically looking at that portion of Wanacue Ave, and we have a number of cameras on Wanacue Ave. If that individual followed up with the proper personnel and/or supervisor and they had that accident, then someone could have looked at those cameras and tried to identify who hit her car, because there is a camera that monitors that section of Wanacue Ave. So if it's within the last 30 days, please tell her to come in, and we will try to attempt to find them. And then, as for our officers, or specifically Officer Eckers, we are consistently on Wanacue Ave in the pond hole. We do our best. We can't be out there, unfortunately, 24 hours a day doing that. And a meter maid, it would be the same thing. They're not going to be out there 24 hours a day, 7 days a week. So there's always going to be. It's not a perfect process. I would say my guys do their best to enforce the statutes on Wanacue Ave and in the pond hole. But there's going to be times and issues where things slip by. But again, if you have an issue, please don't hesitate to call our dispatch center, and then we will send an officer over to address your concern.
Okay, Chief, I'm not looking for 24/7. I'm looking for between the hours of 9 to 6, Monday through Saturday, which you earlier mentioned, if I heard you correctly, Monday through Friday.
Yes.
It's actually Monday through Saturday, unless something has changed. Then I won't be putting money in the meter on a Saturday, okay? That's the first thing. The second thing is that you have a black BMW that sits in the same parking spot every single day, 5 days a week, just past the bus stop there by Maps. All right, and I've seen people almost getting hit right outside, 700 feet from where we're standing on Wanacue Ave and Lenox, trying to get across the street there.
Yeah,
Never once in 6 years have I seen a ticket or an officer giving that BMW who exceeds the 3 hours time limit. I've seen a white Honda who's a business owner making K-turns and U-turns, almost getting T-boned in the middle of Wanacue Avenue. Now, it's a double yellow line. You can't cross that double yellow line, let alone make a K-turn.
An officer has to see that.
Now, you have video cameras up there. I'm happy to call you and say, hey, check out that video and check it out.
Yes, but we can't enforce motor vehicle summons off of a video camera. We have
That's
to
a
see
law.
that. So if you come in, if you come in or call us, we'll be more than happy to take the complaint. You're always welcome to also file a complaint as well.
That shouldn't be my job. That should be your job. I'm sorry, Chief. That's your officer's job. Mayor made a very good point earlier about people setting up a sting operation. Wayne did it very successfully over on Ratchet Road a few months ago. You start handing out tickets on Wanacue Avenue, you see how fast you clean up Wanacue
And that's
Avenue.
something we can
Get your
work with.
patrol officers out there and start handing out tickets. That's all I have to say.
Thank you.
Thank you very much.
Anyone else from the public like to address? Please step up.
Good evening, Al Evangelista, Springwood Court, Pompton Lakes. I had no intentions of saying anything, but
Oh, no.
I've been around a few years, so maybe I can shed some light. I have been saying for years, we need a traffic light at Colfax and Wanacue. They're both county roads. That intersection right now is a problem. When this new Smith project gets done and the Washington building gets done and school opens, it's going to be a mess. So I would suggest that the county install a traffic light now. Traffic lights provide gaps. If you go to any zoning board meeting or planning board meeting, that's all I talk about is traffic gaps. Okay, when the light turns red, it provides a traffic gap for people to cross. it slows down traffic in that main street. Right now, you've got a thoroughfare from the railroad tracks right down to Library, like a speed racing course. The traffic light, the infrastructure at least should be put in now, like they did at Riverdale Road and North Pompton Turnpike. The infrastructure's there, it's ready for the light. Put it in now. Mr. Corley talked about paving Wanacue Ave. Let's get that infrastructure in the ground now before that road gets paved. And then, when time comes, they can put the signals up. But that signal light there, and I did traffic for years, the special police officer on that corner, when we were in our heyday with stores on Wanacue Avenue. It will break up traffic. It will slow down traffic. It will provide people the ability to cross. We've heard this 100 times about, and they did it one year, a couple of years ago. The white crosswalk lines should be painted in April or May, not August or September. People are walking that main street in the summer. They're out there, they're going to Randy's Ice Cream, they're going to the diner, they're going wherever, they're going, sushi place. I told you at this council meeting, I came out of Max with my son after dinner, and it was almost impossible to get across that street because you can't see the crossing at night. Now, you mentioned reflective paint. The county will only stripe the road when the road is repaved. They'll come in and they'll stripe it, which they do. But once that's done, and I've been told this by the county, it's our responsibility to paint those white lines, which our borough has always done, but they always do it in September. It should be done in April or May for the summer. The other thing, they're not visible because of the cars parked on both sides of the street and because people are looking for the address that they're going to. You come up on those crosswalks. Now, if you go down Dawes Highway, you go down Colfax Ave, any of these streets that were recently been repaved with federal funding and county funding, they have those bright yellow crosswalk signs with a square sign with an arrow underneath it that points right to the crosswalk. We don't have anything like that on Wanacue Ave. You go down Wanacue Ave, you might see that one blinky sign, and I agree with the mayor. After a while, you get mesmerized by it, you don't even see it. Now, the Winter School, I believe, put the one in, you push the button in the middle of town. And, you know, those things are beneficial, there's no doubt about it. But the crosswalks have to be better marked with signage. And I would suggest looking at Dawes Highway, looking at Colfax Avenue, see how they did it there, and mimic that. Okay, you see that as you're going down the road. But I think the traffic light should be discussed ASAP as a borough. Get the county to put that in. That'll provide your gaps. It'll slow traffic down, trust me. Okay, I got a lot of experience out there over the years. I watch traffic when I'm walking through town. And, yeah, these problems can be addressed, but we've got to get on top of it and just get the job done, in my opinion. Thank you.
Thank you. Anyone else from the public like to address?
I'd just like to add a few.
Well, we're finishing.
Yes.
Anybody else? Motion to close the public session.
Motion.
Councilman Bennett?
Second.
Council President Kent, all in favor?
Aye.
Against. I'll let you talk in a minute. Al, just remember, though, that the county approves all the projects we put in. So if they wanted a light, they would have said, no, we want a light there. They don't want a light there right now. So the problem is we could ask for it, and the county still says, no, we don't see a need for a light there. So, you know, it's an uphill fight. Now, I agree, maybe a light would help there, but the county has to be on board with the light. You know, and we do have to push them, yes, but at the end of the day, when they get these projects done, the Smith project, the Lakeside, they go to the county for their approvals. The county doesn't tell them, we're thinking about putting a light there. So that's the first thing, but I'll let the chief, you had something you want to say?
Yes, I just wanted to, so I just want to make clear that, you know, I take every resident's and business owner's concerns very, very seriously. The bottom line is that for Pompton Lakes, we have a 24-man department, okay? My first priority is making sure that the residents get the services that they need by responding to emergency calls, ambulance calls, calls for service, and things of that nature. Secondary to that is that I expect every officer to go out there and try to be proactive in their enforcement. And when I mean proactive, issuing traffic summonses, getting on Wanacue Ave and looking for infractions. That's proactive policing. Unfortunately, when they're tied down with other calls, because we, for whatever reason, we only have 3 men on shift and 2 men on shift at times, there's precedence to those calls. And then I think as a council, we need to understand that if we have 2 people that are working, and those are the only 2 people in the borough responding to calls, then it becomes difficult for us to be proactive in some of these other pursuits that we always want to do. But I have to say that my officers, and I have to say this, they do a very good job. And the sergeants out there do a very good job balancing being able to handle calls and being proactive. And I think if you look at our numbers and what we do, we strive to be the best we can be. We're always striving to do better. And like I said, my point to, I'm sorry, I forget your name, point to the gentleman was not to put it on his shoulders, because I'm very aware of what I need to do in my job. But my point is that if we are not there, because we can't be on Wanacue Ave all the time, in order to help us, we need our residents to report what those infractions are. And if we don't have the report, then we can't take enforcement. We don't necessarily know. So I thank you for coming out and letting us know further about the issues on Wanacue Ave. And we will get out there and do our best to address them. But I would implore every resident, if there are other issues on other areas of Wanacue Ave, they have to report it, and we'll do our best to go out there.
And let me remind the public, because, and again, I understand public would know this. By law, we are not allowed to tell police officers to go write more tickets anywhere. Okay, that's something we can do. They have to take the responsibility as part of their job. They take seriously to write summonses. But I can't grab 5 officers and say, start writing 10 more tickets on Wanacue Avenue. It doesn't work that way. And it's against the law, actually. But the other thing I would say is, too, I mean, we don't normally have 2-man patrols out. I mean, they're normally, if we have, there's 3 or 4-man patrols.
Correct. So during the summer months, we are short right now. We have some
Because of
people
vacation or whatever, right?
Yes, on other types of leave. So
Right, yes.
Unfortunately, that's what we're working on.
So, and I think the final note I'll make on this, we could, it doesn't have to happen tomorrow, we can maybe readdress the sting operations on the crosswalks and on the parking, because I do agree with one of the things that one of the gentlemen said is, we ticket a couple people will pay attention. Same thing with the graffiti. I know Councilman Bennon's on top of the graffiti. Once we get that one person that we know is doing it, let's write a ticket to them, take them
months back, I don't know if you remember, we had put together almost an active enforcement detail throughout the town. We had good results.
Yeah, let's do it again.
We had good results.
Okay. Okay, approach the floor. Anybody approach the floor? No? Okay, motion to adjourn into closed session.
Motion. Second.
Councilman Vague, Councilman Bennon, all in favor?
Aye.
Yes. Thank you, everyone, for coming. We have to go into closed session. If you want to take my cell phone number, I'll be glad to give it to you. Well, if you want to take my cell phone number, I'll give it to you whenever you ever have a question. In closed session, we discuss personnel and negotiation matters. Motion to adjourn.
Motion.
Second.
Councilman Bennon, Councilman Vague, all in favor?
Aye.
Against? Okay. That's it.
Thank you.
No meeting for another month.